Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for watching. Mark Cukro.
Bailey Draper.
We're going to just let people get on live for a couple of minutes. We have someone behind the camera letting us know when everyone's on. So if you have a moment, share this with your friends, tag them, let them know that we're live on Facebook. We're doing a question and answer session. And we have 5 or 6 people now. We'll wait until we have a few more. But we do have a few topics and questions that came in. So thank you, Scott, Josh, Aaron, Bailey, Dennis, and we have a few others. So post your questions. If you have a comment or a specific request, the more specific you can be about your question, the more specific we can tailor an answer to you. So do your very best to be very specific, and we'll do our very best to give you an answer just for you. But most of all, we appreciate you tuning in Tuesday night at 7 p.m. There's a lot going on in the world, and we appreciate you tuning into Facebook to watch this session. So do we have any questions yet, Laura? Not yet? Okay, so Scott, I don't know if you're with us, but this is for you, so you may have to play it back. Scott Ledoux asked a question. Can you show an attack flow from the mount? So of course, and we'll start with that, and then we'll see how it goes. Okay, so Bailey, if you could do me a favor, put your head that way, please. Scoot this way a little bit. Perfect. Okay, so we're in the mount position. And a couple of things. What I really don't want, let me just explain this here, is to have my spine directly over hers. So put your hands on my hips and just lift. It's very easy to get lifted, okay? So that's because my weight is evenly distributed. So I like to point this out, number one. You can turn your spine off center just a little bit, now lift. And it's much, much harder, but you can still be lifted. So now you drop one hip, go ahead. And now it's much harder, and I'll still have to post. Now I'm gonna put my knees apart and drop, go ahead. Yeah, okay, it's very different. And the tighter I hold on, the easier it is to get pushed off because I'm trying to hold on instead of stay connected, and that's different, okay? So let's start with the attack itself. So my hand goes in the collar, and I like to do this a lot. If the collar is hard to get to, now it's a lot easier, okay? So we can start with this. You can go over or you can go around. If you go over, it's easy for the person to see your hands. They still know your hand's coming, but it's a little bit harder, and you could add some level of deception here. You can start to go for the choke. I can go in this way, fold your arms over mine. People do this a lot. So all you have to do is come forward and then just twist a little. And that's it. So you don't always have to fall. The falling helps because it lifts the person's chin, but you can roll your hands and just turn. And that's one way, okay? The other one is I start to do this and you defend, and I just pull this across like this. And now this is a really nice way to choke. Here's an arm bar, watch. Here, 1, 2, my hand is here. I start to move, and now I block the shoulder. I bring my elbow over my femur, and then I have this. The person starts to turn here, just step over.
Tough.
And that's a really nice combination. So Scott, I hope that helps. The idea is, and let me just kind of explain the idea behind this. You have a few basic approaches to Jiu Jitsu. I'm going to impose my game on you and take a submission, whether you know it's coming or not. You know it's coming, I know it's coming, and I'm going to do it anyway. The next part of that, we'll wait for the train. The train always goes by, I think, but every time? Every time we do a live Q&A, so we'll wait for that to go. The second part of the attack is more like a counter. Are you baiting the person or are you trapping the person? So now the person, you're misdirecting them with energy. And so that's when the person really believes they have an opportunity and you sold it to them, and then they go for it, and that's a trap. And then the other one is complete and total deception, where the person has absolutely no idea what you're doing. They just feel you moving, and then you do that. So your weight is going to be one of those factors that takes focus away from the submission, because if you have a lot of weight, the person will typically first focus on movement, secondly focus on the escape, and then worry about submissions. And then the more skilled you get, the more the person sees the submission coming, and they're like, okay, Yeah, you know when you get like someone holds you down or gets you in a position, you're like, oh, I don't know what's coming, but something is. And that's what that is. So you have to learn to mix all of those. And I think it's wise to rely on the person's mistakes just as much as it's wise to rely on the skill in your jiu-jitsu and the timing of the technique. Do we have any more questions, Laura? Or
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay. This one came up a lot, the last one that we did. And that is, and this is from Aaron. So Aaron, if you're listening, thank you for asking this question. What is the strongest position to sweep from? So let's talk about a sweep and kind of the definition of a sweep, because it depends on where you learn and how you're taught in the beginning. So a sweep can be a reversal, or it originates in the guard and then gets the person to fall over or flip. So it really kind of depends. From a tournament perspective, it has to originate from the guard in most cases. But if the person has you in cross-side and you sweep them over, it really is a sweep and a reversal at the same time, because a reversal is taking energy that went against you and then turning it around in process. And a sweep can do the same thing, but like for example, can you get me cross-side here, please? Like we call this a harpoon sweep, and it's not really a sweep, it's a reversal of position. However, you did sweep the person, but in a tournament, you might not get points for this. So here, I have this, my hand is here, and I want her head down. You can pull a belt if you want, there's a million variations of this. Turn this way a little bit, please. What I do want is my elbow underneath, I want to hold, and I'm going to move into the person so her toes go up, and she stops me from pushing her. I go under, and then over you go, nice and easy. And then you wind up sweeping the person, but really it would be considered a reversal. So the sweeps themselves, here, let me get my guard for a second, please. Open guard. Okay, so, yeah, on this side. You'll get this question a lot. How do I get a sweep? Where should I get a sweep? Where do most people make mistakes? And most people make mistakes in the way they place their base and how stable they are. And there's a couple things to consider. If you maintain base throughout all of your movements in increments, no matter where you are, it's difficult to sweep you. If you rely on your attributes, which you should, but you should also rely on base, and you overcompensate with your attributes like your speed, and you're really in a rush, and you don't consider base as much as you should, you're probably gonna get swept a lot easier, okay? So let's just start here. So if Bailey's in my guard, she stands up, whether I want her to or not, here we are. She has this right here, she is gone. I mean, that's gone. Okay, you're getting swept. So now, yeah, see, now you based out, right? Okay, so hips down, base out. So now which way do I go? Now you can start to push the hips, move. There's a million sweeps that you can do. But basically, I need her to come forward. Go to one knee, please. Whether she's like this or not. So what I need is momentum. You have to, this kind of bounces off the hitchhiking principle that we discussed last week a little bit and the week before, is I need to make her move without her knowing that, to the point where she believes it's an opportunity to get past, right? So if you're pulling away, I'm gonna trip you backwards or to the side. If you're coming in forward, I'm gonna flip you over or roll you to a corner. If you're stationary, I'm probably gonna sweep you to the side. Now, in all of those, you still have to be moving at the same time. It's a lot more difficult to sweep someone that's completely stationary unless you rock back and forth to get the momentum. So let me just start with a couple of ideas here. Okay, if I have her sleeves, how do I get this leg to step back? It's really pretty simple. I'm gonna make, and this is the thing, it's so true in jiu-jitsu. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. If a person has been schooling you the entire time and you feel like it was a little too easy, it probably was. So what I'm gonna do is just put my foot here and I'm gonna pull my foot off. Now look, here, and there's a sweep, okay? There's a million ways to do this. If I really want this leg, I'm gonna start putting my, yeah, now we're gonna play this game. Look, there's the sweep. So I have to figure out how I can sell the fake, okay? if I want you to go to your knee, so you're gonna, now stand up. How do I get her to go to this knee? Very simple. I turn this way. Yeah, now look. And over. So the idea is, how do I get your momentum? And how do I take it from you? Now, if she puts her hands on my knees, go ahead, walk backwards. Yep, here. I can't even tell you how many times I get that. So you have to understand that your footwork is really important when it comes to being able to sweep someone. It's really interesting because many times you'll hear questions like, how do I get out of this? Can you show me a move? Instead of, can you break down the concept of what I need to do so I can do it from everywhere? And the concept of sweeping is stealing, it's kazushi, right? The same thing in throws, is stealing someone's momentum or getting their momentum so you can change the direction of their energy. And that's really, you know, all it is. But some other ideas for sweeping, just go combat base, please. Be down, yeah. How do you sweep the person from here? Turn this way. Yep, okay, so you're gonna do a forward roll. Okay, so here, I can go under her leg, or I can just pull and go back. So I'll do both here. But what I want to do is scoot and kick with both legs. Turn, and now she's going to turn into me, and all I have to do is stay here. If I get up and I make space, I lost the sweep, okay? Come on, to this side again, please. So these are just ideas. Okay, same thing. This leg's up, move this way a little bit. Okay, so now I can use my sleeve, I can use the tail of her lapel, I can use her sleeve, doesn't matter. What I'm gonna do is go underneath, here, look, yes, and move. And now I just keep my feet together. Yeah, keep going. And then you're past. So the idea is, and I'm gonna connect this all to a principle in a minute, is, okay, fine, you showed a bunch of sweeps, how do I get them? Okay, so we're gonna play a little bit of a game, and the game is Bailey is helping me learn how to identify the sweet spots, the spots of vulnerability in her base, okay? So let's just stand up, please. And I'm gonna put you all over, and it feels a little funny when this gets done to you at first. I'm gonna push up, okay. So don't let me do the same thing again. So, yeah, good, okay. So now, yep, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Yep, here we go. Over, stand up, please. Okay, we're not turning this into a sparring session. What we are doing, here, hop up, change, yep, grab, yep, this way, yep, here, this way. And you start to go back and forth. And so you can do a drill, play a game, whatever you want to call it. I do 10, you do 10. Now, if there's a difference in skill, the higher level has to be more understanding and more telegraphing, okay? So do this, Steve, please put me in the guard, low guard. Okay, grab my sleeve, scissor sweep. So should you go now? No. Yes, exactly, go back. Okay, now, underhook my leg, good arm, yes, good, exactly. And so now, don't do the same sweep. Yes, good. Exactly. Forth and back and forth and back and forth. The thing is if you turn training into a competitive role every single time, you lose the ability to experiment and develop new things and understandings. So I hope that helps, but the best place to get sweeps is where the person's base is lightest, where they don't really know where to place their limbs. And then how do you sell the wrong movement to the person? And that is by getting them to believe that they have an opportunity. So here's another drill. We did this once before, so if you're new watching, this is new to you. If you saw the last one, this should look familiar, okay? So the simplest drill, one of the, hop down on your knees, one of the most important, we're gonna do this with sleeves here on the cuffs, and then we'll do the elbows. So when she stands up, I let her stand up, go. That's it. It should be easy. I shouldn't struggle at all. Now watch. You're almost going to feel that you're a little too early with your feet. Stand up, please. I track. She's gone. Okay, come back down. What most people do in the beginning, stand up, is they go like this. Yeah, now block. And now you can't get your feet in. Okay, so come back down. Go ahead. Just let them go. That's it. Now you have the momentum. Okay? Now, the other part of this is how do you get the person to turn? So go ahead. I put weight on this side. Yeah. Stand up with the other one, and now I have it. And there's the sweep. So the idea is that the side that you want to stay down, you put more weight on or more threat on. And then the other side feels like you could stand up. It feels like, ooh, I think I have a chance. And then you get swept. Most people shouldn't see sweeps coming. If they do, we have to do a little bit better. And it's okay, they will sometimes, but we should do a little bit better of a job disguising them, right, with movement. Now, the principle that we're going to connect this all to is, can you get two of those, please? I just want to explain this. Okay, if you take these, and your spine is here, and your tailbone, each time you sweep someone, they're going to go to a corner if it's one arm or one limb that comes over the sweep. If it's two, you have to block. So a scissor sweep would be like this. Pull, that's the sweep. If it's a sweep where the person gets rolled forward like this, then they're going to go that way. Okay, and I'll give you an example of that. Stand up, please. Let me have your collar. Okay, here, the simplest sweep. I push, I pull, look, to the corner. That's it, okay? Hop up. Now, stand up, grab my knees, walk backwards. Nice and easy, okay? Hop up. Okay, let me get your sleeves. Come back down to my board, please. Yep. So now watch, she's gonna go over, okay? So stand up, yep. Here we go, right over. So that's the difference between 2 points coming forward at the same time and one. If it's two, they pretty much go 90 degrees. When it's one, they usually go on the corners. Pretty much, and there are exceptions, but it's a good basic rule to start with. So I hope that helps a little. Do we have any other questions, Laura?
We do. We have Terry and Scott ask about a Keisagatame escape.
Okay, Terrion, thank you. I know he shares our videos and watches them, so thank you very much. So we're going to face this way, and I'll give you a couple of options, but I want to give you a concept first. And the concept is really the essence of Jiu Jitsu, which is why we use the triangle as our logo so much, okay? So, if Bailey stands over me, okay, my feet are inside of her feet, which means I can't make a big triangle. Now I can. Now I can only make them this way, okay? So I don't have a lot to push to the corner. So hold my hand, please. Pull up. Yeah, I'm kind of light, but the minute I do this, now watch, Terrion, this is important. Here's a little thing that's hard to pick up on the camera. Shift. Now pull. Okay, so now that principle of moving the triangle out so you can rotate, pull. There's no way, okay? So hop on this side. Get me a Keisagatame, please. Yep. Okay, so we're gonna play a little bit of a game. Get me a cross side first. So put this hand here. Okay, so my elbow is right on the bone, okay? So now I'm gonna look at my hands. You're gonna go to Keisagatame. Go ahead. I drop this knee and I move. So now pull my elbow up. Pull. Come on, pull, pull. Because of this leg, right? So this is the same principle as standing. So now, yeah, so what are you going to do when you're stuck here and you can't be exactly right? And so now go ahead, pull. Start to give up the position. Yep, and then there we go. Okay, so that's one. Come here. That is timing based. The next one is she goes here. Go ahead. Now, put this around, because this is really Keisagatame. if you have double underhooks, it's Kizora Kesagatami, not Kesagatami. But if that's what you meant, let me know in the comments and we can add to that too, okay? So this elbow is important. Pull this off the floor. I'm done. Man, I'm gonna get punished. So now, turn your hand, pull. Yeah, you don't even want to now, exactly. And when you do, there you go. So you have to do a couple. Now come here. The other one is when the person pulls your head up really hard. Yeah, like this. Okay. Man, this is terrible. What just happened? Okay, so I'm gonna take this hand and grab below the rib cage, and I'm gonna pull, and I'm gonna turn and walk. As soon as that foot moves, look. So you have to wait for the front foot to move. As soon as it moves, their base shifted over me to this corner, and now they're easy to lift. Come here, please, one more time. So here, yeah, pull, turn your hand, grab, connect your hips, and walk away. Push. Look how easy. This way, not that way, this way. Over. This hand goes to the floor, and then you're out of Kesagatami. So you'll see the escape a lot. I hope that helps, Tarion. But you'll see the escape a lot, but what really helped me personally with the escape was this movement here. And you can see that if she really had a difficult time, and her and I are pretty much about the same weight. I think I got maybe 10 pounds on you. And maybe a little more, I don't know. But the idea is that you can do this and be much more difficult to lift if you are significantly smaller than the person. And that's kind of my point, because you're driving your weight with your feet, not just pulling with your arms. So I hope that helps, but those are escapes I personally do, and they work. If you meant the double underhooks, that's a little different, but I hope that helps, Tarion. Thank you for watching, sharing this all the time, and asking questions. We appreciate it. Anything else, Laura?
Yes.
Okay, and for those of you that are watching, Laura, you can say hello, Laura. She's
Hello,
behind
Laura.
the camera, and she's making sure that we get the questions and that the audio is good for you.
Oh.
Yeah, so thank you, Laura.
Jose just said you just showed Bailey how to escape when I put her on her knees.
I'm sorry, Jose. She's going to be, she's a handful as it is. But we got a new microphone just for this, so if you can hear the difference and it sounds better, just give us like a thumbs up or a like or a heart. We appreciate that. But we want to provide the best live Q&As that we possibly can for you. So what's another question?
Let's see, we had submission from Kesa, from Jose.
Okay, so submissions. So, boy, that's a deep hole. We can run through that all day. I'll show you kind of a quick little series, and then we can break down some of the differences of that series from the Jiu Jitsu perspective and some of the other influences. Okay, so can you put your head here, please? Okay, so head up. Okay, so when you have someone in Kesa, you'll hear a lot of Jiu Jitsu people say, man, you shouldn't really do Kesa because the person can take your back. Well, if it's not done well, for sure. If you do it really well, it is very difficult to get out of this position. But because Jiu-Jitsu is a game of increments and small inches and small movement, when they start to accumulate, you have to abandon the move before it goes bad for you, right? So put this hand here like this. Now there's a couple of things that I'm gonna do. I don't wanna push your hand, resist. Man, this is no good from my perspective. This is my opinion, okay? So you're gonna grab the wrist right here on the hand. Now resist. Try. It's very hard, yeah, because I'm at the end of the lever, right? So we can go like this, look, 1, 2, 3, here, push, 4, 5, then we have chokes, right? And now she puts her hand here. Now we have all of these different submissions that you can do that wind up with all of this. So those are just a couple. I hope that helps, Jose. But the Kesagatami is a really good hold for a while. And you'll see a lot of Jiu-Jitsu people use it just for a short time. And it's a really good, to me, it's kind of like a knee on belly. There's a lot of good submissions there. But it's not really a place where you stay for a very long time, because your back is to them and two limbs are more or less on the same side of their body. Their head's in between, so it's close. But I hope that helps, Jose. Is there any of those that you want us to break down, or?
He says thank you.
Okay, so there's a lot to do there. I would like to show you that one Americana, Udagarami, if you like. So lay down, head towards this way. I like to do this a lot. Yep, right here. Okay. So here I get this position, and I like to do a couple of things. You can just put your knee in their face until they put their hand here and push it off, and then you have one. You can just go like this, and I'm going to do this very poorly, so the person feels like they're getting their hand out, and now I have it. If I'm like this, get your hand out. They can't. Yeah. So go ahead. I'm going to just do this. Go ahead and put my hand. Yeah, and now it's right there. Now, the thing that's a little different is I go here and I grab the wrist. And this is really from, I mean, you can call it Jiu-Jitsu. Jiu-Jitsu, I like that Jiu-Jitsu takes from every art, but this is really from catch or Shudo. So you just separate the head and straighten this out. And you'll feel it more in the elbow, the wrist, and the shoulder, not just the shoulder. The standard version of Udagarami paintbrush Americana is going to be from here, tight, move, slide down, roll your wrists, and then paint the floor. So I hope that little detail I like when you grab the wrist and separate the head. Because when you separate the head, these shoulders muscles are now isolated more from the body, and they're not in line with the spine, and then they're weaker and easier to submit and to move. What else do we have, Laura?
Let's see, how about guard retention principles from Ken Tran?
Ken, okay, so good to see you, Ken. So guard retention for people with short legs or just overall guard retention? Right, I have short legs, so this question came out. No, not him, me. So, Bailey. But the idea is like,
Sorry, Ken.
That's okay. We understand each other, Ken. But if the person is difficult to put their feet around, you have to get on your side, and I'll explain that. The other thing is not to grab people with your hands, but to grab them more with this part of your arm, okay? And the idea is, if anyone's going to pass your guard, you should open it and attack before they pass it against your will. And so if you think to yourself, okay, I feel like I'm going to start to lose this position, you need to openly, aggressively start attacking that person so they either come back into the guard, which is better for you, or they try to pass and go into a submission. But if you hold on to the very last second and they impose the pass on you, you're going to get passed and wind up in a bad position. Okay, so let's start with a couple of just basic ideas. So when I'm here, and many of you will know some of the details, but I like to teach kind of in a sequence of details. If my toes are pointed and my ankles are crossed, my body's very weak. So here, yeah, she can feel the difference from this to this. And you hear the term invisible jiu-jitsu all the time. What it really means is things that you have to feel more than you can only see. And a lot of it is because of translation too. But here, like this. This is what I want. So now what I want is her hands to be on, yeah. Now her hands are holding her up. So now she can't really move her hands as freely because she's scared about getting her back taken or getting put into submission. So this is one. The other thing is drop your elbow. People do this a lot. Yeah, look. Just put your hand here, look. Now pull here. Grab with your elbow, not your hand. Don't do this. Sit up. It's very easy. Come back. Now sit up. Very different. Now you start moving and you don't let the person get their arm. So give me this arm. You don't let the person get their arm out from under you. You can, this here, whatever you want. Now I'm going to start getting my knee up tight. So now, start to sit up. No way. They're going to get swept so easy. Come back. So the idea about guard retention is how do you make their posture almost impossible to regain. So 2 grips on one is always better than 1 on 1, but now she has 1 to defend with. So yes, here. Now you start to move. Get on your side, especially if you have shorter legs. As soon as they have 2 limbs, to sweep. And now look, yes, right over. So when you are grabbing someone in the guard, especially if they can hit you, last thing you want, just look at the space difference. Hold them like this, or hold them like this. Now, if the weight is on your elbow, they're going to lift your torso. If the weight is on your hands, they're gonna straighten your arm out. And that's what you don't want. So Ken, I hope that helps a little bit, but I look forward to training you. I go up to Ohio a couple times a year. I'll be up there this summer. I hope we get to train together, but those are my tips for retaining the guard. And then also actually let me share one more thing with you, Ken, if you don't mind. That is when people walk back and they try to put your feet to the floor, a good rule, it's just a general rule, principle, golden rule, like any rule, there's ways around it and it can be broken, is not to let your knees separate from your elbows, okay? So, if Bailey's here, stand up please. And I'm like this. First of all, this leaves way too much space. You should do this as you attack. You don't just hold and wait, right? So she walks back. Now I'm here, like this. Can you get in the mount? No, can you pass? It's much more difficult. The minute my elbow comes off, look, this knee comes in, and now it's gonna be a nightmare. They're gonna start dancing all over the place. They're gonna pass, they're gonna kick past your legs, they're gonna do X pass, you name it, they're gonna do a pass. Because now you're open, right? So sit back here, come around now. Yeah, and you just go and look. This is much more difficult to do anything with. Go ahead, yeah. And now they're connected. Now I got the sweep, gone, right? And that's because the person dedicated energy to a pass, and Bailey's being nice by helping me get the right energy to teach, but they're not worried about base, they're worried about getting their feet, so they dedicate energy past the feet instead of maintaining base while they pass the feet. So I hope that helps, Ken.
He says yes, thank you.
Okay, good, thank you.
So now we have a question from Alan. Elbow knee escape with detail on proper body mechanics.
Okay, Alan, do you have his TC's last name?
Baker, oh, sorry.
Alan Baker. All right, thank you. So thank you. Alan's man, you ever get a chance to train with Alan Baker in Atlanta? Go out of your way to do it. So thanks for tuning in, Alan. So there's a couple of things that I like to do that made a difference for me. And fortunately, I get to train with people that are a lot bigger and in many different areas. They have better games, and you have to learn from everybody. And learning how to make frames sounds really easy, but man, it takes a lot of practice. Okay, so let's work on getting on the mount, but I want to explain the principle behind this. And again, it's called kazushi. And a common analogy is if you went to like a relative's house, let's just say your grandparents, and I don't know about you, but I can relate to this. I went to my grandmother's house as a kid, and she had this old refrigerator. It's called a Kelvinator refrigerator with these big steel handles, and it had a compressor on top, and she asked us to move it one day. So my brothers and I were like, how hard could it be? Oh my goodness, that thing was like 500 pounds. The way to get it out without ruining the floor was to get it on one side and walk it out like this. So the principle that we share is called walk in the fridge. And that's the basic idea to get out of the mount when the person has a good base on top of you. Okay, so nothing is fail-safe, but boy, this helps a lot. So Bailey gets me in the mount. Now let's start off with the high mount like we did the last time too, because I feel like this is important. If the person has a high mount, man, you're in trouble. She even put her hips on my feet. This is no good. I have to tell me if you feel a difference. Turn my palms up. Now move your knees up higher. It's not gonna happen. What I don't wanna do is bring my hands down and now my arms are weak. Yeah, this is bad, go back. So I keep these here and I move my head, and now I move my hips. And now I'm framing like this. Okay, so turn this way for a sec. Sit up. When I have the frame, this wrist has to be here, this has to be here. Come back down. If I push up, push my arm over, she's gonna take my back. Every single time. If you ever had your back taken, two things. Your elbow was off the body and you pushed up instead of pushed over. Now I'm just gonna keep my elbow connected, push up, take my back. Yep, take my back. Take my back. Okay, so come here. Now, I'm gonna add a little detail that makes a difference. So come here, here like this. Now, take my back. Push that elbow across. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do, watch her weight, is it's gonna go to this leg. Here, this way. Now, this elbow is here, push my arm down. It's not happening. If it's like this, over, okay? So come back, push, yeah. So now I go here, turn this way so everybody can see. I don't want the person to hop to knee on the belly. So just hop, windshield wiper, go to knee on belly. Okay, we gotta stop that. Come back, so here, I have everything where I want it, and this foot goes right here. Now do that. Now, I push off of this foot, and I reframe the chest. Come in, come in. Here, and now you can recover the guard. So let me do this without you for a second. So the idea is that I'm like this, watch. The weight has to go to this hand. It's not to this hand. It's up in the air. Turn, push off your feet. Now all the weight is here. This is where the brace is. If my arm is down, it gets pushed across. It has to be like this. Now I move, and I put my foot on the bottom leg as I turn and reframe. And now I have the same position on both sides. Now what happens usually is the person will try to sprawl, hop up to knee on the belly and run around. That's what the foot prevents. Or they're trying to try to get up and run around. And in either case, you have more space. So let me just take my gi top off. People ask this all the time. And here's my basic rule in Jiu Jitsu. After 2 years of training, you should be near impossible to hold down for any length of time by someone that's your own weight and skill level. Okay, so come here, please. Yep, so watch. Here, so let's look at my elbow because it's easier to see. If I'm like this, take my back, just push it over. Yep, go back. Come back down. Now do the same thing, push, no good, go back. Push now. You can feel the difference, and now I'm out. And now you can do whatever you want from here. You know, there's a million things. But, which, by the way, Bailey wore a black gi. Number one, she likes the gi. Yeah, it's pretty nice. But so you could see the contrast between us training together. Because normally we typically wear white gis. And if you wear a different one, that's fine. But I feel like it's easier for you to see if we have different color uniforms on. So that's why we did that. But I hope putting my elbow up helped a little bit. As always, and I'll say it again, Alan, thank you for watching. If you're anywhere near Atlanta Martial Arts, go train with Alan Baker and his whole crew. Iris and everybody else over there. They're wonderful people. Do we have anything else?
Sure, Alan Baker rocks, by the way.
Okay.
I just wanted to throw that out there.
Alan Baker's the man.
Yes,
Yeah.
so I hear. Let's see.
So I hear.
How to pass knee shield guard, Jason Rubin.
Okay, so man, there's a lot to do this. So Jason, what I want you to do is I'm going to do two things because two things come to mind and I want you to tell me which one you mean more of, okay? So is it more of a combat base or like a half guard knee shield, okay? So you just go one knee up, one knee down, like this. You mean more like this, where I have to pass, or put me like in half guard, like this. So tell me which one, and then as soon as you answer, we'll come back to that because I'm not sure which one you mean. Some people call the shin guard, the Z guard, they kind of use them as the same name. And if you don't, I'll just start I'll start reviewing some ideas. Totally up to you. Okay, hop up for a second. Let's get in combat base and we'll start there. So these are some fun ones to do. Yeah, so start like this, toes up. You'll see a lot of people like this.
Half guard.
What's that?
Half guard.
From the half guard one? Okay, there we go. Okay, come over here, please. Okay, so how do you pass this? So you'll see a lot of people do this, and they also get swept for doing this, okay? The reason that most people get swept doing this, grab my sleeve, please, with your right hand. Put your left hand over my back, and you're gonna pull me, and then sweep. And this is what happens, okay? So how do you stop that? The same as a cut pass and everything else. So here, go ahead. Yep, whatever you want. All I have to do is drop my hip out, look, sprawl, turn, and this hand makes a fist, so they can't recover guard. And then you go back to cross, okay? So now what happens, especially when you watch, is there's a lot of yeah buts. Well, yeah, but I would do this or that. So what I recommend that you do is you try this, grab. Now I'm gonna come forward and I can feel that I'm going to get swept. How about now? Sweep me, please. Sweep, sweep, sweep. My hand, look, open, lift. My hand is here blocking this. Don't do this, because it's easy to mess up your fingers. Make a fist. Can you cover guard, please? Right around the legs. So that's one. Okay, turn around this side. Scoop. A little more in, please. Okay, so here. Now, yeah, you can cross your ankles, you can do whatever you want, I don't care. Okay, so this is very simple. Just grab the foot, push it, and now you're here, okay? Now, yep. One, okay. So come here, we'll do some more here. Grab this foot and just pull, yep. Pull, here, pass, again. Go back, yep. So, yeah, this just, yeah, just pull, watch, and pass. Okay, now you can start really doing anything from here, but it's a lot easier to pass. So watch my knees, come here. When we're like this, get your feet back the way they were. Yeah, I'm gonna put my knee on the inside of the femur like this, here. Now, see how my foot is this way? Turn, heel up, not like this, it gets hooked. Comes right out. Okay, so come here. If their feet are not crossed, just, yeah, grab here, grab, and pass. So, I hope that helps, Jason, but the idea is not to come over the person when they have you in any kind of half guard, because what they need is to get under you. Whether that's pulling you on top of them or them going underneath you, it can really turn into a lot of sweeps. So if you put your base back and sprawl out and block the hips and legs, it's a lot more difficult to do that. Now, with all that said, if the person is very active and it's a dynamic exchange, you could do all of those things within 30 seconds and then go for the one that opens up their guard at that particular time. What I don't recommend doing is this. And if you've done this, it's probably why you're asking the question. People will go like this and they try to, yeah, and you're gonna get swept all day long. Watch. Now the sweep is gone here, and then pass the position. So I hope that helps, Jason. Those are just a couple of ideas to work with, but it does make a difference, and you have to understand, but not understand, decide if you want to really clear your legs or just get past the knee. Because if you can sit in like reverse Kesikatami with one leg in half guard, you have a different exchange, but it really changes that entire guard. So I hope that helps. Thanks for asking.
Yes, he says thank you.
Okay.
Let's see, how do you like to approach passing the butterfly guard? Steve Adornato.
Steve, hello, and I haven't heard your name in a long time. So there's a couple of things. So Batman, throw me that belt over there. Thank you very much. Okay, yes, Batman threw me a belt. He's got a Batman shirt on, okay. So if you look at the hips, let's explain a couple of things. Bailey's gonna do this to me a couple times and then we'll start giving you options. But what you need with the butterfly guard is the person's hips lifted like this and then tilted to go one way or the other. So when you're getting swept, as long as your hips are even and you keep them even, it's very difficult to get swept. And then of course we have some other ideas too now. I did show, I think 4 or 5 of these 2 videos ago, 2 weeks ago. So there is some there. I'm gonna show a couple of more and go over some of those again. But make sure that your hips don't get tilted. The minute your hips get tilted, you're going to get swept, okay? So, there goes belly, okay? Now, right here, okay, so she doesn't know what I'm gonna do, but let me tell you, as funny as this is, it's effective. So get the underhooks. Okay, I told you. I'm sorry. Okay, so get the underhooks. You don't want to, right? So knock my hand off, come in, knock it. So now I have some time, okay? This does not stop the sweep, but it prevents the entry for the sweep. So while you're doing that, you can be setting up foot passes and everything else. So if she starts coming in and I start doing this, look, yeah, this comes right over them past. because she's worried about clearing my hands and scooting in, okay? So what I'm doing is this here, look. And now I'm past. Now, she can recover, so I have to get my body, come back. I have to get my body on this side of the knee. Now move and shrimp. It's very difficult when you're past, okay? Now, that's where the game changes, okay? So come here, please. So if I go here, and I'm like this, go, move. You recovered, okay? So as soon as I put your feet in, come in close. Come in close. She doesn't want me to touch her head. Here, nice like this.
Sorry.
I'm gonna go here, and now pass. And now I'm past the knee, that's one, okay? The real common, probably most effective one, under X please, is when they lift you and sweep to one side, okay? So, let's go over that. So she's gonna lift and then we're gonna freeze. I cross my ankles and I look up. Now, push me to one side. So now I'm gonna move my hips like this. And now put my hand behind both knees and pass. Okay, so come here, please. So you're gonna sweep me that way. Go ahead, please. Yep. Like this. Now, if this leg is, these feet are caught, look, slide them out. Hand to the floor. Keep your hip on their hip. Move, and then reestablish your position. So there's a couple more. Okay, here, please. Grab. I like to hold and grab the heel and just pull. And there you go. And most people have that reaction. They go, what? And, but you know, like anything else, you pull it off a few times and then your friends figure out how to stop it. One more. Okay, this one I like a lot. So you can use your hands or use your arms. I personally use my arms. So grab, I'm gonna grab right around the legs like this. Take your arms out. Just like this. Okay, go. Here. And now I look up and I sprawl. And now look, you can pass. So that catches a lot of people by surprise. But the essence of all of these is not to let the person twist your hips. Now lastly, if you're worried about points, I wouldn't do this. If you don't care about points, this is a great option. Hit the hooks. Just grab the heel and fall over. And that's it. So now, depending on who's watching and their understanding, you may be awarded points or not. If I don't care about points, who cares? You got past the guard. So a lot of that is just a matter of preference or right or wrong, but those are some ideas, Steve. So thank you for asking. I appreciate it. We appreciate it.
Oh, here we go. From Chaz Valentine. Break down the hitchhiker sweep from 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so this sweep thank you, Chaz. I love this sweep. And this is, the more aggressive the person is, the better. So I'll explain this, we'll do it, then we'll do it in freeze, and then we'll do it in freeze and go over some common kind of mistakes, okay? So this comes back to our principle again. Can you stand up on my guard, please? Okay, so let's just go over a couple of things. My palms are up. Why? Well, you just ask yourself, do you pull heavy things like this or do you pull heavy things like this? The answer should be like this. If it's not, try, okay? So if she pulls here, go ahead, pull back. Just pull your body back. It's hard for me because my elbows are away from my body. Come back. Now pull. Much more difficult. So what I'm gonna do now is put my foot here and start to push and pull. Yeah, exactly. So now what happens is I push and I pull and you try to put your left knee down. And as soon as you do, I go here and I hitchhike right here. And that's the energy I need, okay? Now I have this arm here. You can do a million things. You can go this way, okay? So let's start this again. Okay, so I just named it the hitchhiker sweep because you have to hitchhike their energy. And what happens is the person gets very happy that they got past your guard, okay? So I'm here, I push, and I pull. This is what I want. Now, I just straighten this arm out and look, lift, 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 hitch, hike, all the way over, okay? So, this can be done a million ways. Here, if the person is not falling for it, you just go this way and sweep them over, okay? Hop back up. So what I want to do is push, pull. This has to go here. if this is here, start coming down. Yeah, I need to go that way, and then move. And over they go. Okay, come back. Okay, now what happens? Turn this way, a little more, the other way. Perfect. Okay. Is the person puts their arm around your head. Yeah, so just hold the shoulder, hold this, and lift over, right over into that position. Okay, so the idea is, what you're doing, it goes back to that X principle, is you're making the person come forward and then roll. And as they roll, your foot hitches on their leg and you hike over. Okay, so one more time. So now Bailey, stand squarely, please. She's gonna help me. So you're gonna let me push, pull. That's what I want, stand up. Step back, step forward. Step back, step forward. This is the energy that you need to train in the beginning. Stand up, please. Now she comes down and puts her knee down. I go this way, over, look up, and there you go. And that's the hitchhiker sweep. So the challenge that most people have is putting their foot over the femur as the person rolls. So I would start with that. There's a million options from there. And of course, like in all of jiu-jitsu, there's a million counters. But man, that is a fun sweep to hit. When you get it, most people are just like, what just happened? And you wind up on top and cut past our cross-side position. Okay, so I get asked a lot of things, lately especially this question, and that is, what is the future of jiu-jitsu considering everything that's going on? So I have a lot to say about it in a short amount of time, but the bottom line I think is jiu-jitsu will be back stronger and better and bigger than ever before. And if you do jiu-jitsu, you understand that the thing that it teaches you most is to challenge everything you learn in a very respectful way. It teaches you to teach in a very respectful way. You should anyway. I hope you're doing that. And also, it teaches you to persevere in a very calm way. And if you look at things that you're going to invest in, should I invest in worry that I'm not sure about? Should I invest in negativity that I know could only bring me down? Or should I look for the opportunities, the silver linings, and look how to get through this and help everything grow so we can get back to what we love doing? Jiu-jitsu is not going anywhere. It's going to be here 1,000 years from now. What is going to change is how we get through this period and then open back up. So for all of you that are watching, if you have a school, do your best to support your school, whoever is teaching at your academy, because let me tell you, the last thing you want are the best instructors to leave the industry. What you do want is the best instructors to stay, have their academies open, flourish, people learn and improve socially, mentally, physically, especially at jiu-jitsu, and everything else as a result of that. So I think jiu-jitsu is going to bounce back just like people in jiu-jitsu. Every time you fall down, you fall forward 2 steps and you bounce back better than ever. I have no doubt that's going to happen, so it's just a matter of time. A couple of other questions I get asked, and we have a list here, is what takedowns would I recommend for beginners? So this is a 2-part question, and it depends if you're looking for jiu-jitsu versus jiu-jitsu, or you're looking for jiu-jitsu versus everything else and someone that made the wrong decision to pick on you and put you in a chance, in an opportunity or circumstance where you have to use jiu-jitsu to defend yourself. Now, I hear a lot about jiu-jitsu, and for those of the people that know me, I grew up in New York City in a town called Elmont on the borderline of Queens by Belmont Racetrack. So if any of my friends are watching, thank you so much for watching. We've come a long way. But my mother was a bartender, and after school, we would go wait for her to get off of work. And so we would spend a couple hours a day there, and we would play pool, and just like any parent, they want their kids to at least be close to them so they could look after them. And it was really interesting that the more people stayed and the more like you could see something escalating from like a conversation where 2 people are having a friendly disagreement to, okay, in about 10 minutes, these 2 are gonna wind up fighting each other. And I mean, you could read it like clockwork. It was so easy to see once you're around it enough. And so the point of me saying this is you got to understand that jiu-jitsu at first should be taught against people that don't know jiu-jitsu, unless all you want to do is learn it against people that already know it. Later on, when you can defend yourself against the layman, the person that doesn't know anything, then you start getting into the skill versus skill, and the desired outcome is totally different, right? So takedowns for people that are inexperienced, very simple. There's a throw called koshi guruma, or we call the T position. Ogoshi is a hip throw, but this is a very simple throw to do, and a very simple throw to land correctly when you do it. So we'll stand up and back up and show you that a little bit, okay? So you have to understand, and this is a really good way to teach this in the beginning. So face me, please. Don't throw me. But what I'm going to do, because I know our muscle memory is to throw me. So I'm going to grab like this. Okay? This, man, let me tell you, everybody in high school has had this happen to them at one point or another. So she's going to grab me just like that, and my hands come up, push, and here's the throw. Right? Okay. You don't rely on the gi in the beginning. In the beginning, it should be like this, and then you do the throw. Then you can do harai goshi, and you can do uchimata, whatever you want, right? But the idea is, when you do takedowns, you have to understand the tendencies of most people that don't train. Well, how do you learn that? You learn by a lot of observation, experience, listening to people that have been teaching this and in real life with real practical applications for a very long time. And so one of the things that happens very often is a person will just push you like this. Man, you better know what to do. Self-defense, the first thing is leave. Don't let your ego get in the way and put you in a position that you could have just walked away from. Number two, they grab. My hand, I don't want to get hit in the face. I don't want a headbutt in the face. Now, if my hand is above, fine. If my hand is under, fine. It doesn't really matter. Push, 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 push. Here's the throw, okay? And that's it. Now, if you have the choice to throw someone and leave before they hit the ground, do it. If you're gonna land on them with every ounce of weight you have in your body. Now, if you're competing in jiu-jitsu and you're like this, and you don't know what to do, this is why a lot of people pull guard. I don't have anything against pulling guard. If you want to pull guard, pull guard. I do think you should really know takedowns and throws though, and I cannot stress that enough. Now, it depends on your purpose for training. If it's sportive, you do whatever you want, it doesn't matter. But if you want to actually protect yourself, then I think learning throws, takedowns, foot sweeps, things like that are very important. A basic rule for throwing people, hold your hand out. Here to here, just hold your hand like this. Don't shoot from here. From here to here, maybe. From here to here, go for it. And these are just basic principles because now you can drop and do this. If I'm here, she may have more time to react. Yeah, exactly, to react. And if I'm out here, you're gonna get a knee in the face. So those are just, some ideas. Now we can go into a lot of conversations about this, but this is my personal opinion. So if you have a different one, I'm so glad that you do. And it's okay, we can have different perspectives. But I think first and foremost, my obligation as a teacher is to teach people to defend themselves against punches and strikes and takedowns and pushes and hair grabs and things that happen. Then after that, you move into the jiu-jitsu that's versus jiu-jitsu. And there's no rush, to get to that path. There's like, how do I get a black belt really fast? You don't, right? You put the time in like everybody else. The last thing that you want is to be a belt that deep down you really don't feel like you deserve. And I can't think of a worse feeling than being nervous wearing the belt that you have. Now, if you're a younger belt, like a blue belt or a purple belt, and you're coming up, and even black belts, man, we're all supposed to tap in jiu-jitsu, get tapped, we're supposed to tap. That's just part of the process. Don't ever be embarrassed for getting caught in jiu-jitsu, because every time you get caught or you get tapped or you get submitted, that's one more opportunity that you have to prevent that from happening. And I see people celebrate, man, did you see who I tapped in practice today? Yeah, I tapped him or her, or she tapped. Don't talk like that and don't be that person. I say this every time, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Be the person that everybody hopes they get to train with, not the one they hope they don't have to get stuck training with. And it's really interesting too, because the people I learn the most from are very chill, and they're like, now when you compete, that's fine, turn it up, man. Boom, go into high speed, go get it. But when you're training, you have to allow for seriousness, competitiveness, novelty, exploration, and all of those things. And if you're constantly rolling with your A game, you're never going to get really better at anything. And you may not discover things that you never really thought existed that you were really good at. And the other thing is, if you're, blue belt, purple belt, brown belt, black belt, you're supposed to be rolling all the time. And that doesn't mean every single day against every single person, but you should roll to test yourself, put yourself in bad positions. If Bailey and I we're rolling, and how long have you been training? 3 or 4 years? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, I can only do Americana. Do what you want. We roll. She does. That person, and I see this all the time, that's why I'm bringing it up. Man, that person, that black belt was talking to someone else while we were rolling. Well, when you're a black belt, you'll understand that. Now, if it's a black belt versus a black belt, you probably can't do that. But don't take it personal if when you're rolling someone, it's easy for them. That just means they put a lot of time in it. And it takes a lot of effort, man, a lot of effort to make jiu-jitsu look effortless. And that's the thing I think that we misperceive sometimes is, man, it's easy for that person. It wasn't easy. I was a white belt, tied it on, I got beat up just like you did, tapped out as many times as you did, and vice versa. So don't ever get discouraged, get fired up, and then go back to jiu-jitsu. So do we have any time for any more? We have one more question maybe, Laura?
We have one kind of detailed question from Michael Brown. He wants to know about rank and the ability to teach others. How long before one earns the privilege to teach the basic fundamentals under supervision? There are a lot of people with purple and belts and below who lack teaching fundamentals that are guiding others.
Okay, so thank you for asking this question. And this is a deep question, so I'm just gonna spend about 5 minutes on it. But, I started my academy and I was a purple belt. Now, I've been training for half my life in other arts. So, and I say this a lot, if you can teach, teach. However, teach what's in your skill set and your knowledge base, and don't ever misrepresent what you are. What happens is if you open up too early and you're not very good at teaching, it's a disservice to your students. If you open up and you're a blue belt or a purple belt and you're amazing at teaching, your students are going to learn. What happens very often is sometimes a person that opens an academy is almost embarrassed to roll with higher rank because they've always been the highest rank at their academy and they're still a low rank. And then what happens is they feel like they look badly if they roll with other higher belts and they get jiu-jitsu handed to them. Let's just put it that way. The thing is the people that are good in jiu-jitsu look up to the people that can just do whatever they want to them. And that's an important mindset shift. Now, if you're a blue belt, you should teach up to your knowledge base, whatever your level of expertise is. You could be an amazing professor at a university, the most dynamic instructor your students have ever met, but you have to teach within your skill set. If you exceed that and you try to make up for it, what happens is you have a lot of gaps in your game as you move up. And I'm telling you right now, and I can tell this immediately within 30 seconds of rolling someone, if they spend a lot of time on the fundamentals, and I mean the real solid, detailed fundamental movements. It's not specifically a technique, more it's movements and filling in the understanding. I can tell in 10 seconds, man, you have put a lot. I'm telling you, I can roll you, I know you put time into the fundamentals. I can also roll someone that's been training for a long time, and it's like, ooh, man, you move good, but there's a lot of holes here. And that's not an insult to anyone's game. I think universally, the fundamentals in jiu-jitsu are pretty much the same across the board. Really know how to shrimp and move and escape, really know how to bridge, really understand frames and leverage and movement and where your toes go. And that will last for the rest of your jiu-jitsu. Now, when we came up to our academy tonight, there's only 3 of us here, and we're coming once a week until we're open to do these. I was driving past the highway on Highway 49, and there were people putting concrete forms down. And I was with my son, and I said, his name's Evan. I said, hey, Ev, you see those forms? And of course, he was very interested. He goes, yeah. I was like any 16-year-old, right? I said, it takes all day to put those forms down. It takes 10 minutes to pour the concrete. It takes a half a day to smooth it out. And if you make one mistake, all of that concrete needs to come back up. And he goes, all of it? I said, absolutely all of it. So what happened? I'll post the photos if you want. Today, I'm coming in, And instead of seeing concrete that's finished, I see huge slabs of concrete broken up and piled up in the parking lot. Could you imagine doing that job? My point is, 3 things you need to understand. How to actually build a solid foundation, which is by putting in the work and forming everything. How to actually pour it into the forms, which is a technique that you pour into the concepts. And then how to look at it, evaluate it, and know why every single thing is important in its place before you pour it. And that's the same with Jiu Jitsu. And this is the same with teaching. Never teach above your skill level. Never be embarrassed to go train with someone that's a higher rank. Never be embarrassed to learn. I learn from people that are low rank all the time. I look at them sometimes, I'm like, how did you even think to do that? And they're like, I don't know, I just did. I'm like, well, I'm stealing that and I'm gonna build on it. And that's because it happens, and that's what you're supposed to do. So never feel embarrassed or ashamed if you're supposed to get caught in jiu-jitsu. That's what it's for. And if you do catch people in jiu-jitsu, don't be the guy or the woman that brags about it to other people. It's an emotionally immature thing to do. I rolled 5 people today, tapped all of them. You want me to tell you their names and how? Come on, right? So martial arts is about respect. And one of the ways to do that is not to be the person that talks like that, to be the person that understands their limits, to be the person that understands their skill. Because as an instructor, I can't think of a greater position with more honor and a higher obligation to your community than teaching people what you know correctly. So when they ever need it, what you taught them, they can rely on, and it will work to its highest likelihood. So I hope that helps, but yeah, that's my opinion. So for all of you that are lower belts at opening schools, I did too. And let me tell you, thank goodness for mentors and people that will help bring you up in skill level so you can be a black belt in jiu-jitsu and have a black belt mindset. And also, you know, if you're an instructor, you need to lead by example and have the black belt attitude that we communicate so much that everyone else is supposed to have. So that's my 2 cents on that. Do we have any more questions, Laura? Okay, so Bailey, thank you very much for training. Bailey's a wonderful Uki. She's been training here for a long time. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Batman behind the camera. Laura, thank you. So do me a favor, share this with everyone. Tag your friends if we said or showed something that you think is helpful. Go to our YouTube channel and subscribe to that. It's just Mark Cukro Jiu Jitsu. You can find it. There's a ton of instructionals on there, free, no strings attached. We just want to share what we can with as many people as possible. And that's it. So have a wonderful evening. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Take care.